Let me start with something most people don't realize until it's too late. Most franchise buyers aren't actually buying a business, they're buying a job with a logo. And the reason that happens isn't because they made a bad decision, it's because they evaluated the opportunity the wrong way. Most people walk into franchise ownership asking one question: how much money can I make? That's the wrong question. The better question, the one sophisticated buyers ask, is what kind of asset am I actually building? Now let's talk about EverLine. On the surface, it looks like a service business: line striping, asphalt repair, seal coating, warehouse safety markings. Pretty straightforward. But that's not what this is. This business operates inside something much bigger: infrastructure maintenance. And infrastructure has one defining characteristic: it deteriorates constantly. Parking lots fade, cracks expand, safety markings disappear, compliance standards evolve, and every one of those problems requires recurring intervention. This is where the opportunity starts to shift, because now you're not in a nice-to-have service, you're in a must-maintain asset category. Let's break it down clearly. Property managers must maintain lots, commercial sites must meet safety standards, warehouses must maintain compliance. This creates something most small businesses never achieve: built-in demand cycles. Most founders chase growth by chasing customers. In this model, the environment creates the demand. That's a completely different game. Think about it this way. Compare this to restaurants, retail, fitness concepts. Those depend on consumer behavior. This depends on asset preservation. One is discretionary, the other is operational. And operational spend doesn't disappear when the economy tightens. This is why models like this tend to perform differently in downturns, because when budgets shrink, companies don't say, let's ignore safety markings, let's stop maintaining our parking lot. They say, let's preserve what we already own. Now here's where most buyers still miss it. They see stability and stop there. But stability alone doesn't create wealth. Scalability does. So the real question isn't, is this a good business? It's, can this become a valuable, transferable asset? And that's what we're going to break down today. Not just what EverLine does, not just how it makes money, but how scalable it is, where the margins actually come from, what separates top performers from average operators, and ultimately, whether this becomes something a buyer would pay a premium for. I've sat in rooms where businesses get valued, and I can tell you, buyers don't pay for effort. They pay for predictability, margin, systems, and scale. So as we go through this, I want you thinking differently, not like an owner, like an investor. Because if you approach this like an operator, you'll build income. If you approach it like an investor, you build options. And that's the shift this entire blueprint is built around. Too many founders chase scale without knowing what they're actually scaling. The goal isn't just more revenue, it's more value. Now that we've framed how to think about this, let's break down what EverLine actually is, operationally and structurally. Because structure determines outcome. EverLine operates inside the commercial property maintenance sector, more specifically, parking lot maintenance, pavement preservation, warehouse safety compliance, surface coating solutions. This is not construction, this is not remodeling. This is ongoing maintenance. And that distinction matters more than most people realize. Let's break it down. Construction equals project-based, cyclical. Maintenance equals recurring, predictable. Construction businesses chase projects. Maintenance businesses build contracts. And contracts are what buyers pay for. You're operating in a multi-billion-dollar market, highly fragmented. That means thousands of small operators, limited standardization, inconsistent quality, and fragmented markets create one thing: opportunity for consolidation. Now here's the part most buyers miss. You're not just entering a business. You're entering a category that has not been fully professionalized. And whenever you see that, systems win. EverLine has scaled to 400 plus units since 2012. That tells you two things. The model is replicable. There's still room to grow. But here's the nuance. Growth in unit count does not automatically mean growth in operator success. You need to separate franchise expansion, operator performance. Let's look at the numbers you were given. Average franchisee, approximately $746,000. Corporate affiliate, $2.8 million plus. That's not a small gap, that's a signal. That gap tells you this is not a capped model, it's an execution-driven model. Meaning, same system, same brand, different outcomes. Why? Because sales discipline varies, territory strategy varies, operator ambition varies. You can think of EverLine operators in 3 tiers. Owner operator runs one crew, replaces income. Growth operator adds crews, builds contracts, expands territory. Portfolio builder, multi-territory, systemized leadership, exit focused. Only one of these builds real equity. This is where most people get stuck. They stop at, this is a good business, but we're not here to evaluate good businesses. We're here to identify scalable assets. Now, operationally, this is relatively simple. Mobile crews, equipment-based service, route-based jobs, commercial clients, but simple doesn't mean easy. You still need a sales pipeline, crew management, scheduling discipline, quality control. This is not passive, it's buildable. The beauty of this model is leverage. One owner, multiple crews, expanding territory, recurring contracts. That's how you scale output without scaling yourself. So when you look at EverLine, don't just see services, see structure. Because structure determines revenue predictability, margin potential, and ultimately, exit value. And this structure, if executed properly, supports all 3. Now let's talk about how this business actually makes money, because this is where the model becomes interesting. Most customers enter through one core service, line striping. It's visible, it's necessary, and it's easy to sell. If you think this is a striping business, you're thinking too small. This is a multi-service lifecycle business. Let's walk slowly. Line striping to entry, crack filling to prevention, seal coating to preservation, infrared repair to restoration, epoxy coatings leads to premium upgrade, safety markings leads to compliance. This is a full life cycle of asset maintenance. One client doesn't equal one job. It equals multiple revenue opportunities over time. Example, stripe the lot today, seal coat next season, repair cracks after winter, upgrade markings for compliance. This is how you increase the value of each customer relationship. One contract turns into a multi-year revenue stream. Most small businesses constantly chase new customers. This model allows you to deepen existing ones. Not all services are equal. Striping equals lower ticket, high frequency. Repairs equals higher ticket. Epoxy equals premium margin. Smart operators don't just do more work, they do better mixed work. This is where operator skill shows up. The difference between $700,000 and $1.5 million often comes down to upselling correctly, timing services, educating clients. These are not one-time homeowners. These are property managers, commercial owners, and facility operators. They care about reliability, compliance, long-term cost savings. This is not a transactional model, it's a relationship model. And relationships, when structured correctly, compound revenue. Now we get into what actually separates EverLine from the rest of the market. Because without differentiation, you're just another contractor. Let's start with TBL durables. 8-minute cure time, 3 to 4 times durability. On the surface, that sounds like a product feature. It's not. It's an economic advantage. Faster cure time means less downtime for clients, faster job completion, more jobs per day. That directly increases revenue capacity. Longer lasting product means you can justify premium pricing, and premium pricing expands margin. This is about standardization, consistent execution, brand reliability, repeatable processes. Consistency builds trust, trust builds contracts. This is one of the most important strategic advantages. Commercial clients behave differently than consumers. They sign contracts, renew services, value reliability over price. That creates stability. Once you're in with a property manager and you're performing consistently, switching becomes a risk for them. That's how you reduce churn. This is where value is created: efficiency, pricing power, retention. Stack those and you don't just have a business, you have an asset. Now we move from what the business is to why it wins, because without a moat, you're just another vendor. And vendors compete on price, assets compete on value. This slide is about something most operators overlook completely: material science. Because in this business, what you apply matters just as much as how you apply it. You're looking at 3 categories: water-based paints, oil-based paints, TBL durables, EverLine's proprietary solution. Now, most small operators are using the first 2. Why? Because they're cheaper, easier, familiar. They don't last. Faster wear, more frequent repainting, lower perceived quality. And that creates a race to the bottom. TBL durables flips that equation: 3 to 4 times durability, cleaner finish, longer life cycle. That's not just a product upgrade, that's a business model upgrade. Let's think like an operator. If your work lasts longer, fewer callbacks, stronger reputation, higher pricing confidence. If your work fails quickly, you compete on price, you lose trust, you compress margins. Your customer is not buying paint, they're buying reliability, longevity, reduced headaches. And when you deliver that, price becomes secondary. This is where margin expansion actually comes from, not working harder, working better. So this isn't just a product advantage, it's a positioning advantage. And positioning determines pricing power. Now let's talk about the second moat, and this one is operational. Traditional asphalt repair is disruptive: cut, remove, replace. It's time-consuming, expensive, messy. Infrared repair changes that, heats existing asphalt, reworks it in place, seamless finish. No harsh seams, no major disruption. Faster jobs equals more jobs per day. That directly impacts revenue capacity. Less material waste, lower labor intensity, higher efficiency. For the client, faster turnaround, less downtime, better aesthetic result. This is not just a service, it's a premium service offering. This allows you to enter with striping, upsell into repair, expand contract value. The best operators don't just do more jobs, they increase revenue per client. And this technology enables that. Now we get into the moat that matters most at scale: systems. The core quality system is about consistency, accountability, repeatability. C, clear scope. O, operations reporting. R, reach out. E, evaluate. Why this matters. In small businesses, quality depends on the owner. In scalable businesses, quality depends on systems. National account implication. If you want to win larger contracts, you need consistency across locations, not just one great crew. Trust at scale. Large clients don't buy skill, they buy reliability. Operational discipline. This system enforces process adherence, communication loops, performance tracking. This is what allows a local service business to behave like a national brand. Systems reduce variability, and reduced variability increases valuation. Now let's connect everything we've discussed to how this actually launches. This is a lean startup model, minimal fixed overhead, equipment-driven, small initial team. You're not overbuilt on day one. 2 paths. Path A, owner-operator. Path B, executive model. Path A, reality. You start hands-on, selling, managing crews, learning operations. This is where most people begin. Path B, scaled vision. You transition into leadership, hiring, system management. Critical transition. The biggest risk is getting stuck in Path A. That's where businesses plateau. Scalable future. The goal is add crews, build contracts, remove yourself from production. This model gives you a runway, but you have to choose to scale it. Now let's talk about where your money actually goes. Equipment, vehicles, initial marketing, working capital, key insight. This is not a real estate heavy model. That's important. Why it matters. Your capital is going toward revenue generation, not leasehold improvements, build-outs, working capital emphasis. This is where most people underestimate. You need runway. Strategic framing. Capital doesn't just get you in, it determines how fast you grow. Smart allocation accelerates outcomes. Now we connect everything to performance. Anchor numbers. Average, approximately $746,000. High, $2.8 million plus. Key insight. This is a wide performance band. Why it exists. Sales execution, service mix, scaling strategy. Profitability lens. Approximately 30% margins equals strong base, but only if maintained operationally. Reframe. Revenue is vanity, margin is sanity, structure is value. The upside is real, but it's earned. Let's talk about what happens after you say yes. Launch phase, training, setup, initial sales, support structure, ongoing coaching, marketing systems, operational guidance, reality check. Support accelerates you if it doesn't replace execution. The system works if you work the system. Now, risk. Categories, legal, cash flow, equipment. Risk isn't something to avoid, it's something to understand. The more clearly you see risk, the better you can control it. This is how everything compounds. Let's walk the flywheel. Service to revenue, revenue to reinvestment, Reinvestment leads to expansion. Expansion leads to contracts. Key insight: momentum builds. This is how one unit becomes a portfolio. Let's bring this together. This is a strong model if executed strategically. You're not buying a franchise, you're building an asset. Too many founders chase scale without knowing what they're actually scaling. The goal isn't just more revenue, it's more value. Ready to evaluate this as an investment, not just an opportunity? Let's map your strategy.